Pikmin has had many famous characters throughout its history: Olimar, Louie, the President, Dobson. But what if I told you that one of the most famous characters from the Pikmin series isn't even a year old and is questioned to be a hoax? That character would be Fiddlebert. A character so famous that he is now synonymous with the Pikmin brand and even made an appearance on New York Times Square, but not many people know the full story of Fiddlebert. This video will be covering the origin and creation of Fiddlebert. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe for high quality Pikmin videos weekly. Our story starts on a little known website called Reddit, a website that is mostly infamous for its content usually being less than stellar. All the way back in 2008, a subreddit called r/Pikmin was created, and for a long time it fell into the usual gaming subreddit categories. Most of the posts were just average discussion of the game and rather mediocre memes. It wasn't as bad as something like r/Sinkpissers, but it wasn't really anything to write home about. This would change almost 12 years later in 2020. The last Pikmin game at that point had been Pikmin 3 in 2013, so fans of the Pikmin franchise got a little bit impatient and started to pass the time with these extremely strange shitposts. These bizarre, nonsensical shitposts would eventually consume the community whole, and the once boring r/Pikmin was now one of the only few tolerable places on Reddit. Legendary events like the Pikmin visiting McDonald's cemented itself into Pik history forever. This would continue its way into 2023, the year of Fiddlebert's creation. In early 2023, user Deadpool Makes Me Wet would catalog their experience with Skelimar, a supposed side character in Pikmin 1. A big problem with these posts is we still have no way of knowing for sure if Skelimar was actually in the original Pikmin game. This is a problem we will later see with Fiddlebert. People who claim to remember Skelimar malign him for his constant annoying catchphrases such as "There's a skeleton of ship parts in this area." This Skelimar post created a short trend on r/Pikmin to post supposed side characters and ports of Pikmin 1. The trend eventually faded away, but a few months later it came back and bigger than ever before. On June 27th, 2023, also known as the Rapture, now deleted user Cabbage426 posted the very first Fiddlebert sighting. Does anyone else remember Pikmin 1's second captain, Fiddlebert? He was obviously rushed, being just a small green Olimar, and he would sometimes randomly speak in Lithuanian. I really didn't like him as a kid, and Nintendo probably didn't either because they removed him from the Switch and Wii ports. What do you guys think of him? Many users of r/Pikmin recall their memories of Fiddlebert in the comments section, pointing out his funny catchphrases such as "Fiddle me this" and "Fiddlesticks." However, one of the most unfortunate things that people remembered about Fiddlebert was his poorly aged comedy and bigoted views. Users claimed that Fiddlebert would randomly blurt out offensive profanities and controversial political views in the middle of gameplay. This would often cause players of the game to slip up and lose a few Pikmin out of pure shock. His controversial views are the #1 theory on why Fiddlebert believers think that Nintendo censored Fiddlebert from future games. There are two types of people that know about Fiddlebert: the Fiddlebert Deniers and the Fiddlebert Believers. Fiddlebert Deniers believe that Fiddlebert is only a joke and a hoax made to make people laugh. Their main point is that if Fiddlebert was real, he would have been talked about earlier and that there is no substantial evidence. The Fiddlebert Believers think that Fiddlebert was a real character, with the main evidence for their points being gameplay screenshots and merchandise such as DVDs containing Fiddlebert. Their reasoning for the main lack of evidence is that Nintendo has been going on a large censorship campaign for the past 2 decades to hide Fiddlebert from public knowledge. Due to the potential controversies that could arise, I will be keeping this video as unbiased as possible and will not be revealing my stance on the Fiddlebert debate. There are also more radical variants of these groups, such as extreme Fiddlebert believers, who are people that think that Fiddlebert isn't merely just a fictional character and is in fact a real person. There are also Fiddlebert sympathizers, which are people that fully agree with Fiddlebert's beliefs and actions. Fiddlebert became an extremely popular topic in r/Pikmin, as many found themselves fascinated with the character, and this would eventually skyrocket even further with a near event. Times Square is the most well-known building in New York that is still around. In 2023, a company called TSX would allow people to submit a video and it would be displayed upon Times Square. Pikmin fan Patchy thought it would be a fun idea to broadcast a video of Olimar twerking on Times Square. This kickstarted a trend where people would display Pikmin-related videos onto Times Square, and some of these videos and photos contain pictures of Fiddlebert. This would increase his popularity even more and even cause Fiddlebert to leak into the outside internet. Lessons in Meme Cultures made a video about the Times Square situation, and Know Your Meme made a full page about Fiddlebert. However, these two behind the meme clones got nothing right. The Fiddlebert page is highly flawed as it is obviously written by a Fiddlebert denier who didn't ensure that it was unbiased and called Fiddlebert an example of the Mandela effect and a hoax. They also state that Fiddlebert's region is the United States, even though the most amateur fiddle historian knows that he is from Lithuania. While a lot of people think Fiddlebert is only one of a kind, there have been many other characters in the Pikmin franchise that have been tied to Fiddlebert. A lot of these are chronicled on the Fiddlebert lore wiki. Moss is a newly introduced character in Pikmin 4 and is the only Fiddlebert connectee that is confirmed to be 100% real. Moss has been alleged to hold many controversial views just like Fiddlebert and suspiciously shares the color green. Some fiddle theorists and fiddle historians think that Moss was originally Fiddlebert's dog, but Fiddlebert was cut from Pikmin 4. This also ties into the common fiddle theory that Fiddlebert is in every fiddle Pikmin game and even stars in some of his fiddle own. However, these are likely fiddle victims of the alleged Nintendo censorship campaign. There are many other Fiddlebert and fiddle variants, though these are all controversial as their fiddle authenticity is even more blurry than Fiddlebert's. Some of these fiddle characters include Pumpernickel, Biddlefert, Squibble Snort, Doodlebert, Fricklequeak, Pickle Pipe, and Diddle-Doo. These guys are much more niche in the Fiddlebert scene, and fiddle historians take many hours out of their day verifying their authenticity. Pumpernickel is the most famous of these and is apparently Fiddlebert's sidekick. There is a theory that Fiddlebert is connected to everything in Pikmin, and that the games wouldn't exist without him, though this theory is commonly written off as Fiddlebert sympathizer nonsense. Nowadays, Fiddlebert posts are few and far between, and many people don't talk about him anymore. r/Pikmin has also fallen off in quality and is mostly back to being a generic video game discussion subreddit akin to r/SinkPissers. Is this the end of Fiddlebert? Will we ever see another piece of legendary Fiddlebert history again? That concludes this video about Fiddlebert. This was a fun one to make. I wasn't expecting there to be this much backstory to a alleged shitpost, but it was really interesting. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to fiddle that like button, fiddle that subscribe button, and fiddle that notification bell. If you don't do all of the above, then Fiddlebert will never show up again.